go. Go, Knights, 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 go. Welcome to Knights This Week. And welcome to Knights This Week with your super fan, Jason Banks here. And today on Knights This Week, we're going to take a look at the last two games that the Knights played before the Christmas break. And there isn't really much news out of Knightsland this week, but we're going to take a look at those two games and take a look at the updated standings here in Knights This Week. And let me just get myself situated here. And welcome to Knights This Week. How are you doing out there, Knights fans? And I also want to make a quick mention that this is right now, as I record this video, this is December the 24th. So today is Christmas Eve day. So Knight fans, have you got your Christmas shopping done out there? Have you got all your Christmas shopping done? Or are you out there still trying to get some last minute shopping done? Maybe head down to the armories and get that special gift for a Knights fan. Lots of good stuff down at the Armory, the Knights souvenir store, hats, shirts, flags, whatever you know, a lot of stuff, jerseys. So anyway, let's get to Knights This Week, shall we? And we're going to get to two games. There's a away game and a home game. So the Knights played on, let's see. Just give me a second as I get out my handy-dandy calendar. The Knights played on Thursday, December 15th. And they rode into town. They rode into Peterborough to play the historic Peterborough Pete. So let's take a look at that first game together, shall we? So just give me a second here. And I'm going to bring up the details of that game for us. So just give me a brief second. I'm sorry, wasn't ready. And Merry Christmas to you and all your family out there. So, okay. So the Knights went into Peterborough on that Thursday night, as I said. And the London Knights played a very flat game. The Eastern Conference is quite a bit weaker, I'd say, again this year than the Western Conference. But the London Knights did not get off to a good start. They surrendered single goals in the first two periods and did not get on the board until 5 minutes into the third. And it proved to be a little bit too late for the London Knights to wake up. As the London Knights went into Peterborough on that Thursday night game at the Memorial Centre in Peterborough, and they dropped a 3-1 game to the Peterborough Petes. Captain J.J. Pickenden said this about the game. Yeah, we're missing games and we're missing guys and all that, but this one kind of stung. It didn't help that the London Knights rode into the city a tad late after some challenging travel conditions. We weren't getting very good weather that day. Kind of snowy on the drive down. It took a lot longer to get there, and traffic was slow. So, I'm sure, not to use that as an excuse, but I'm sure any team that rolls into town a little later than they want to, not doing the things that they wanted before the game, gotta throw you off a little bit. But not to make an excuse for it. But that's the way it is. But the London Knights got got off to a really slow start in this game and did not recover. JJ Pekinich again says this: you always want to get there on time, but it's no excuse. We need to be ready come puck drop. I'm not going to say a late arrival plays a factor. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It happened, and regardless, we're supposed to come ready to play. So, the London Knights, actually, the Peterborough Petes are on quite a roll in that conference right now. Let me just see this. The Peterborough Petes actually won their 6th game in a row in this game. And the London Knights dropped a rare game. They haven't dropped many in regulation this year. But they did on this one, losing 3-1. Let's get to the game summary a bit here for you. The first period, Gallant for Peterborough got his 10th goal of the season from Clark and Spencer at 11:26 to make it 1-0. And then in the second period, Peterborough's DeNoble got his 18th goal of the season from Lawrence and Timms at 9:53, and that was on the power play to give the Petes a 2-0 lead coming into the third period. The Knights only had 23 shots on net through the first 2 periods, so it wasn't exactly like they were firing on all cylinders, the London Knights. As I previously alluded to, the captain of the Knights, JJ Pekinich, got his 13th goal of the season from Brandon Crawley and Victor Mete at 4:58 on the power play in the third period to get the Knights within 1. But then late in the game, with 19 seconds left, Peterborough's Ange got his 14th goal of the season from Gallant and Spencer to ice the game for the Peterborough Petes as they win the game 3-1. So, the 3 stars of this game, obviously, can you give the Knights a star? Not really. The Knights didn't deserve any stars in this game. Zach Gallant was the first star from Peterborough. Matt Spencer was the second star from Peterborough. And Dylan Wells was the third star from Peterborough. And Dylan Wells was the Peterborough goalie, actually. Tyler Parsons is away at the World Juniors, so Tyler Johnson started the game. And he took the loss. He's now 5-2 on the season, Tyler Johnson. But that was your game summary from Peterborough. Not much to say about it. 1 goal. You're not going to win too many games by scoring 1 goal. And the Knights have now lost their last 2 games against teams from the Eastern Conference because they did lose the previous one 7-3 at home to the Mississauga Steelheads. And the Petes held the Knights well below their 4.5 goal per game average. Anything else to say? Sam Miletic, excuse me, had the tying goal on his stick late in the third, but Wells stoned him. And so that was the game summary from Peterborough. A 3-1 victory for the Peterborough Petes over the London Knights. The other Knights game that they played before the Christmas break is they came home to play the Guelph Storm. So, the Guelph Storm waiting for the London Knights at Budweiser Gardens. Guelph Storm are a better team than they were last year, but still not a playoff team at this point. But they came into town, and the London Knights got a nice turnaround game as the London Knights would beat the Guelph Storm 4-1 before 9,002 people Friday night at Budweiser Gardens. So, it's beginning to look a lot like spring, it says, because London, by the way, London still is ranked second in the Canadian Hockey League. And they are right up there in the OHL standings, but we're going to get to that in a couple minutes. But the netminder of this game for the London Knights was not Tyler Johnson. Instead, they gave the start to Jordan Koey. He was playing Major Midget this season, and he found out Friday morning he would get the start over Tyler Johnson. And Jordan Koey has 3 starts and 3 wins. So he's in all the games that he has started, he has gotten wins. 2 of them coming against the Grouse Storm. Jordan Koey says this about the game. I knew who was shooting and how they played. It helped. I've become more comfortable in all 3 games as they've gone along. He wants to get in a few more before the end of the year. He knows once World Juniors are done, Tyler Parsons will spend a lot of the time in London's crease. It's been a real bonus, these games, he said. It's amazing and fun, too, says Jordan Koey. The Knights' backup netminder, I guess you can say. So let's get to the game summary of this game, shall we? And this game was all about defensemen, more or less. And that's because most of the guys that got goals for the London Knights were defensemen. So, in the first period, the London Knights got on the board at the 8:32 mark. Victor Mete got his 9th goal of the season. Robert Thomas got the assist. It was at 8:32 on the power play to make it 1-0 Knights. But the Grouse Storm tied it up before the end of the first period, and that is Giovanni Smith. Remember Giovanni Smith, folks? Last time the London Knights played Guelph, they were in Guelph, and Giovanni Smith got himself a hat trick. Yes. Well, he's having a great season for the Guelph Storm. Giovanni Smith got his 16th goal of the season from McEwen and Merkley at 14:34 on the power play to tie it up going into the first intermission. That was the only time it was tied because the London Knights went ahead in the second period. Alex Formanton got his 8th goal of the season from Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas, great player for the London Knights. He's in his 2nd year for the Knights, and he is going to be a star in this league. I would bet you money on that, and could be drafted this year, too, in the NHL draft. But he got the assist on that goal, his 2nd point of the game, to put the Knights ahead 2-1. Then in the third period, a tall, lanky, skinny defenseman for the London Knights, who's been trying to get us a goal all season long for the London Knights, finally got his first goal of the season. Yeah, clap for that. Chris Martinet, the veteran defenseman for the Knights, got his first goal at 4:02 at the third period from Whitaker and Pooh to put the London Knights ahead 3-1. And then the London Knights would ice it late in the third period when Brandon Crawley got his 4th goal of the season from Cliff Pooh at the 18:49 mark, an empty net goal, to give the London Knights a 4-1 victory over the Guelph Storm. So the London Knights bounced back from the game in Peterborough to get a win in their final game before the Christmas break. So let's take a look at the 3 stars in this game. Let's do that quickly. The 3 stars of this game were all London Knights. So the 3rd star was Chris Martinet. He got his first goal of the season, so he gets the 3rd star. Knights goaltender Jordan Koey, as I've mentioned already, he's got his 3rd win in 3 starts. He was the 2nd star at this game. And the 1st star at this game was Robert Thomas of the Knights with 2 points, both assists in the game, as the London Knights won 4-1 in their final game before the Christmas holidays. So, let's see if there's any more things that we want to talk about from this game. Not really. But let's take a look at the standings now, shall we? And we're going to bring those up here. So the London Knights now, we're going to take a look at their record here going into the Christmas break. And as soon as the website loads up here, bear with me for a second, folks. All right. So the London Knights come into the Christmas break with this record. 22 wins, 5 regulation losses, 2 overtime losses, and 3 shootout losses. So that gives them 49 points in the Western Conference, which is still leaving them a point short from the Erie Otters for first place overall. And let's hope that by the end of the season, the Knights will be above everybody in that conference, because I think it's going to be so vital with this conference this year. Let's just take a look at the top 4 teams in this conference, shall we, folks? And this is just going to show you how close the top 4 teams are, okay? Erie has 50 points, 1 point ahead of the London Knights. Who else has 50 points? The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And who would have ever thought the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds would be a factor in this conference? I didn't think they would be that great. But here they are with 50 points in the other division, leading that division. And the Windsor Spitfires, let's not forget about them. They are hosting the Memorial Cup after all. They got 47 points. So, if you take a look at that, folks, Erie and Sault Ste. Marie both have 50 points. The Knights have 49 points, and the Windsor Spitfires have 47 points. So, that is very, very close. And obviously, it's going to be a dogfight to get out of Western Conference again. And I think it's going to be very, very important to get that top seed. But it may not be that important either. But regardless, that is where the Knights are sitting coming into the Christmas break. They are still ranked second in the CHL, behind the Regina Pats from out west. And we'll see what happens when January comes. The World Juniors are over. We shall see what the Knights try to do. It would be a shame if they don't try to make some moves, because they got tons of assets to deal with to make a trade to put them over the top. So we'll see what happens. But right now, London Knights 1 point behind both the Erie Otters and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. What I want to do, definitely now, is since this is the last nights this week before Christmas, I want to wish all of you out there a Merry Christmas. Be safe. I hope that you enjoy your Christmas with your family and friends. And the Knights are back in action on Wednesday, December 28th at Budweiser Gardens, taking on the Eastern Conference leading Oshawa Generals. So that ought to be an interesting game. We ought to see. That's going to be an interesting one to see, and see how the Knights fare in that one. But Feliz Navidad. Merry Christmas, everybody. And I will be back next week to recap the Oshawa game and probably the Friday night game they play as well. So, this has been your super fan, Jason Banks, taking you through Knights this week. And just like I do every week, let us do the Knights dance to end the show. So that's what I'm going to do to end Knights this week once again. And have a good one, Knights fans. See you next week. Take care, Knights fans. Until next time.